Or T-Joe's has what?
Oh,
it sounded like a
yeah. I was like, what did we say?
like
Loser says what?
up dog. It smells like up dog in here. What's going on, everyone? This is the Aggie Game Day Extra podcast. I'm Travis Brown, senior Texas A&M sports writer here at KBTX. Over there, chief meteorologist Max Crawford, and over here, redshirt junior sports director.
I was wondering.
Tyler Shaw.
Yeah.
Sports
of
director
eligibility left.
Tyler Shaw. Normal crew back here, guys. How are we, Max? No winter weather, so things a little chiller for you this week.
In fact, it looks quite warm next week, which I am
love
fine
that.
with. But you know what? Somebody came in a little bit earlier as a big Aggie baseball fan and mentioned there's going to be at least one more cold snap because
Is that Brett Richards?
It was Brett Richards. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. A friend of the show. But it
Friend of the pod.
He mentioned, and John Wilson used to always say this too, former KBTXer as well, there's always a cold snap around opening day, whether it's like just before or maybe it's even the week after, like within 5-ish days of opening weekend, it gets really, really cold.
When there's usually one or two Tuesday midweek games before
just,
conference play that it's like 32 degrees and they have that press
Drizzly.
box window open and you just want to die.
Yeah.
Like it's
the coldest place in College Station is at the top of Bluebell. too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hopefully
it's
Jake
freezing.
Kaburski's on the PA for that one and not Mike. I don't want to put Mike through that.
no, yeah, Kaburski needs
He
to pay his
deserves it.
dues.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're gonna do a little fun exercise here today. I thought, I'm scoping around on the interwebs, looking at sports, what the sports talking heads are talking about, and of course, it's way too early season. It's time for those way too early top 25s where they look at before we even have the other transfer portal, and before we even have spring ball, and before these transfers from the last transfer portal have even really stepped foot into real pad situations, we're going to go ahead and just rank everybody like this. And so I thought, as dumb as those ideas are, why don't we do it?
And maybe even dumber now with the spring transfer window, which, like, I don't know, maybe it won't be all that crazy, but I think it has the potential to be pretty darn crazy.
I feel like I'm going to get real in the weeds here. I think you'll appreciate this. I don't know if you will, but the spring transfer window is like the winter transfer window in soccer.
Oh, okay.
In club soccer.
Yes.
Because you really want to get your transfers in the summer.
Sure.
Winter, you're going to pay a higher price, so there's just not that same amount of talent available.
Yeah.
So it's similar.
And so you almost wonder, as a player, are you going to be able to fetch more money that way? Like if you're eyeing teams with like really specific needs.
And we kind of talked about this in the last podcast. Like, you also have got coaches who might not be super in on spring games anymore because you're getting these guys tape out there that some guys can come in and be like, hey, come over here and we'll give you some of that change.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still a proponent of let's just move bowl season to the spring, get rid of the spring games altogether, and just make things real crazy.
I'd be down.
Oh, I don't know because in the games we joke that it's all about you, because when we talk about what happened in the game, it's just a matter of did the play come to you so you can get the good shot on your camera. For me, it's I don't want to have to like remember the entire roster and everything in the spring after I've already forgotten about the team covering basketball and baseball. Like, I can only really do one team in my head at a time.
Do you really want to cover a spring game though? That's
I don't really want to do either. So, I guess but then it's just like why don't they just scrimmage Sam Houston? Like, I don't know.
I like that idea. But speaking of spring football, Leon O'Neal Jr. is now a UFL player for the Houston Roughnecks. Yeah.
So is Kellen Mond. He is the quarterback for the San Antonio team. Yeah,
those are great team names, by the way. Roughnecks, Brahmas. I'm in. I love that.
I did like the what was it? The USFL, the Commanders for the San Antonio team.
Oh,
kind of had some Alamo themes with it.
Okay, and Army base.
Yeah, I kind of liked that.
Yeah, I like that too.
But Brahmas
That's
are
fine.
good. Brahmas are good too. I mean, if I think Brahmas, I think Fort Worth Brahmas, the old hockey team. Back in the day. But,
I think of there's a lot of high school Brahmas too out there.
There is a lot of high school Brahmas.
You got Belleville, but I think they pronounce it Brahmas.
Oh.
So
If there's one thing that's is going to be guaranteed in Texas, it's we're going to have weird weather and we're going to pronounce things really strangely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Super Bowl's coming up in 2 weeks. You got Braden Mann and Anais Smith.
Let's go.
Going there. Anais Smith
Fly,
in
birds, fly.
in
I
his
can't
first
believe I just
NFL
said
season.
I can't believe I just
that
said
might be the cold open
go
of this.
birds.
Yeah.
Because I grew up hating the Eagles, but now I do not care. I still think Eagles fans are awful.
I was about to say.
I mean, they booed Santa. Like,
They booed
Santa.
everybody on this earth who's not an Eagles fan or wearing Eagles gear. They're like what a lot of people think LSU fans are, I think.
they're the LSU of the NFL.
I could see that.
Yeah, I think you could about say that. I will say also, and I will put this on the record, Colorado fans are every bit as bad as LSU fans and worse. I did not have a single good interaction with the Colorado fan when we played them in Denver.
Oh, interesting.
And you can quote me on that.
Why don't you just? And that was pre-Dion too.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
We have a
So
few
I
in the
can't even
newsroom. Why don't
imagine.
you just escalate that up to just people from Colorado?
Don't we? No, Sophia went to Colorado State.
She did.
Okay.
And then Alex Egan, who we'll talk about. The good thing about this, and we'll segue into what we are doing here, and that is we're going to power rank the SEC schools for next season. Kind of way too early SEC rankings for the 2025 football season. And because he was sitting next to me while I was kind of pitching this idea and talking to y'all, our special projects director over there, Alex Egan, he threw his in here, and he's not in here to defend himself, so we can just roast it mercilessly.
And then we can power rank everybody's power rankings.
Yeah.
Ooh, I
That's
like
a good
that.
one.
Okay, so who wants to go first? Who feels really confident about the power rankings? I'll go first. It was my idea. I'll go first. So here's what we got up here. I have Texas is number one. Arch Manning. He isn't a returning quarterback, but he's gotten a lot of playing time. He has a great pedigree. I think a lot of my decision making processes on this go into what's your quarterback situation like. What's your quarterback? What's your defense? Texas has a good quarterback. They have a good defense coming back. I put them at number one. LSU is kind of like, I was talking, you got to have a few of those teams, like you have an idea of what it should shake out as, and then you got to kind of move a few things around because it's never going to turn out exactly like you think it is. LSU is one that probably would be a little bit lower on most rankings, but they went into the portal, did a good job in the portal, returned a quarterback. I think LSU has primed for maybe having a good season. Georgia lost a quarterback, but have one that has Sugar Bowl experience. And then the one that really interests me, Tennessee has a quarterback returning. I went with them. And then South Carolina, Lenore Sellers, South Carolina might be the most volatility of any team in the SEC this year. Because besides maybe A&M. And then the other one that I'll address on mine before I let y'all rip me to shreds is Alabama has a lot of talent, but I think if there's something that we could take from last season is that the 247 Sports composite rankings doesn't mean as much as it used to.
Okay.
Because there were teams that made the playoff, that went on runs, that teams beat teams. I want to see Kellen DeBoer prove that he can do something with the talent down there. So I have them at 7. So I don't know. What do y'all guys think?
I get that Alabama's not what they used to be. Find it a little interesting having A&M above them at this point. I don't know. I don't know what.
I mean, they do lose Milroe, who you could argue was a liability at times, but you could also argue kept them in games and won games for them multiple times too.
They are going to have to break in a new quarterback. That was one of my biggest factors in a way too early power ranking.
Yeah,
so
you also have Ole Miss below A&M as well.
They have to.
They got to buy another team.
The only teams that I actually gave Vanderbilt a bump because they returned their pretty decent quarterback and were able to do some things last year. The only one that doesn't really play by that rule is Florida, who actually does return a pretty darn good quarterback.
He could be really good next year.
Yeah, I just haven't. I need to see that they can put their whole program together and kind of be flowing on the same path to get behind him and do something. So that's why I have Florida a little bit lower, despite my do they have a good quarterback? I also, this is maybe kind of a little bit of trolling, but I did have Oklahoma ahead of Auburn, even though Jackson Arnold went from Oklahoma to Auburn. So you can take that for what it is. But mostly I kind of went with a little bit of the quarterback situation, then looked at kind of the talent around him.
Yeah. South Carolina, I mean, we'll get to ours, but South Carolina was kind of the hardest for me because I really like Lenora Sellers and I like South Carolina. They did lose a lot on defense, though, so that's where I hesitated in putting them too high. I do have them high, but...
Well, Tyler, let's pull yours up here then.
Yeah, mine do look different.
What do you got here?
I do have Texas at the top, though. I just think, you got the Arch Manning, and I think Steve Sarkisian's proved that he is, he's built a program that, that they're going to lose a lot of talent, but they'll be able to reload.
There we go.
I think
I can work technology. Here we go.
All right.
Here's Tyler's power rankings.
Here we go. So the top two is kind of basically going a lot of last year, and it's really the programs. Kirby Smart, Steve Sarkisian, I think are the two best coaches in the league, and I think they'll be able to reload their talent. I did go high on Ole Miss. I understand that. I do know they're losing Jackson Dart, and there's going to be a lot of unknowns. But I don't know. They bought their team last year. Lane Kiffin has figured out how to be competitive in this league. So it's kind of where that was a hard spot for me. I did put Tennessee. I think it's going to be solid. Alabama, I'm kind of giving Alabama the benefit of the doubt. South Carolina, I wanted to put ahead of them. But again, I think you lose a lot on defense. I don't know how exactly all that will shake out. And then you got, I do have Florida above A&M. Mainly because of that DJ Lagway. I do think the dude's a baller, and they could have a really good team next year. A&M, I mean, I guess you had them at what, 6?
Yes.
I had them at 8. I mean, there's a lot of room for movement there.
I think from 4 to 10 is almost interchangeable.
Yeah, it is interchangeable. I know you have the Vanderbilt logo up there, but it is LSU.
Yes, sorry.
No, you're good. I do have LSU pretty low.
After we had a good discussion today in the newsroom about making sure we double check our graphics.
But it's one of those, I know I have LSU really low, but the kind of 4 through 10, I think everything is so interchangeable. I'm a little high on Mississippi State. I know that I probably should have put them lower because they did, but I don't know. Blake Shapen is a veteran quarterback, and he might be able to kind of just
who could run Levy's offense,
right? So he was supposed to be the starter before the season-ending injury. So if he just kind of rolls next season, I think they could be.
I would have
better.
Mississippi State higher if Van Buren was still there.
I thought he was for sure.
I thought he was certainly better than Shapen and was shaping up to really kind of push them ahead, but I don't know. I don't know.
It's tough. We'll see. We'll see how Shapen does. Missouri, things taking a big step back. Oklahoma, they're not there. Yeah, Arkansas, I could have put Vandy a little higher too. And then Kentucky, I just don't think is. I just don't think they're good.
Yeah, the South Carolina, Florida, A&M, LSU. Those are the ones that are kind of that have the most volatility. I feel like.
Oh, I think so too. And I don't know. You can pull mine up here in just a second, but I have LSU a lot higher, and I think same line of thinking as what you said, Travis. Like they did good in the portal. They're bringing back Nussmeier, so I think we know the offense will still be there, but they had defensive questions all year long. And then do they just have like a little bit of a head coaching problem? I don't know. I think that it is worth asking if BK is really an elite coach.
That's kind of my thinking right now with LSU. I don't know.
Are they going to be able to do all of these things with that guy? But they will certainly have the talent to do so, I think.
So now, Max, you're out of the three of us, you're the only one that doesn't have Texas number 1. Why?
On general principle. No, I mean, I'm sure that probably has something to do with it. But the biggest reason is it's another year where they're having to replace a lot of the production. I don't think that Arch is the second coming like so many people do. I do think that he is going to be a good quarterback, but I don't think that he's just all of a sudden majestically going to be that much better than Ewers was. And I think that if he was, he would have started this year.
Who in the SEC right now is a better quarterback than Arch Manning?
That's where we get into the Max didn't do his homework.
No,
so
I'm sorry, I put you on the spot on that. I'm just curious though.
You could argue
say
Lenore
Nussmeier.
Sellers might be the next best quarterback in the SEC.
Yeah, the problem with Sellers is I don't know, with an offense like Starks where you can make a lot of money in the short passing game, maybe Sellers would be very good there because he's got the running ability too. I think, honestly, and I am saying this, and I think some people would maybe laugh at me. I think especially a Texas fan would. I think if it was just for 1 year especially, I think I would take Nussmeier over Arch Manning. Beyond that, building a program around him, would I maybe take... oh my God, I'm blanking on his name right now. Florida quarterback.
DJ Lagway.
Yeah. Would I take Lagway over Manning?
He's an X factor, I think.
I think I probably would. But
Interesting.
that's I think getting a little bit in the weeds too. But yeah, I think Arch Manning's probably top 3 of the quarterbacks that are returning and on this list. And again, I've got them at 4, so it's not like I bumped them all the way down into the middle of the road. I think also Tyler had a good point. At a certain point, you're ranking program pedigree, and I think that's especially important this day and age because of all of the volatility around college football. That's why I just feel like you got to have Georgia and Alabama up near the top until they prove to me otherwise that they're not. I mean, people talk about Alabama sliding this year. They went 9-3, so it's not like they dropped
It's incredible
off.
That's a slide.
Yeah,
for them.
exactly. Yeah. I'm also giving the LSU program the benefit of the doubt because I have not seen them down for long, and so that's why I have those 3 above Texas. They lose a lot on defense. They have to replace the offensive production once again with a new-ish quarterback. So I'm just not totally seeing it just yet that they are the far and away number 1.
Here's one I want to talk about, and that's Missouri. Because there's even some Wagerly top 25s that have Missouri in the top 25. They have to replace some key pieces of their offense, but they did portal. They have the Penn State backup quarterback coming in. They did pick up a couple wide receivers. So it's kind of that unproven potential factor.
Sure.
I guess we're giving LSU a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, even though they also have Nussmeier coming back. But Missouri is another one that's kind of like, kind of like the same situation they were in last year. It's a little different because last year they had what we thought were the proven commodities. They didn't quite play up to expectation. But this year they have the potential. They just don't know how it's all going to mesh.
Yeah. And I'm not stoked about going to that game in Columbia, but I do think that's going to be one of our easier away games when you look at who else we have to play away. I will also say in that same vein, the away games that we had last year with South Carolina and Florida, I'm really glad those are at home this time around because I think those are much more winnable games when you have them at home. I feel pretty good about the bottom half past A&M on mine. I think Lenore Sellers is great. I just don't know that he's going to be able to replicate that success of kind of coming on scene. And I think a way that maybe it's a little bit of recency bias with just how they played in the bowl game and not totally buying that they have the supporting cast around him. I'm not looking forward to playing him, but I'm glad we play him at home, and hopefully we actually flip and tackle him for once. But between Missouri, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Arkansas, Mississippi State, I think you can flip almost all those around except Arkansas and State, which I will just leave at the bottom, mainly because their programs just got picked apart by the portal.
Did you just go full Missouri?
I did.
Did you go full Missouri?
Yeah, I
Nice
said
Missouri
Missouri.
in there. Yeah.
How do you feel about Missouri, Tyler?
I'll let Max call it that one. I don't think you'll ever hear a Missouri out of me. But
Well, we just did.
But I think they were very overrated last year, and that you said it was with those proven commodities. So this Missouri team is. I just don't think they're going to be.
Oh, sorry.
No.
One other thing that I think I have that's a lot different than what you guys have is I feel like I have Auburn way higher than you guys do. And maybe that's just because I'm still scared from the 4 overtime game. But they're getting a quarterback who I think is going to be better than the QB that was there before. And they clearly have offensive talent. Now, it is golly, I'm blanking on names today. The defensive coordinator that we flippin' had 2 years ago.
DJ Durkin.
Mm-hmm. It is a DJ Durkin defense, which is volatile in and of itself. But a second year in that scheme, I think that it's going to be a solid enough defense to win them games. And so that's why I put them more middle of the road / in the top half.
Max, you have Auburn 7th.
Yeah.
Tyler has Auburn 10th. I have Auburn 12th.
Yeah.
So I
So
don't
it's
know.
not that much of a difference, I suppose, whenever you look at it like that. But I have them in the top half, and Hugh Freeze scares me. And
I don't know if Jackson Arnold scares me though.
Sure, and that's fine. And for the record, I think we're going to beat them because it's a game at Kyle Field, and I feel confident in our home record. So, yes, I have Auburn ranked higher than us, but I think on a neutral field, I would still be very scared to play them.
So here's Alex Egan's picks, and what can we what can we roast about here? I mean, he has A&M.
He's got a little
the highest.
some
The
maroon,
highest
maroon sunglasses on
of
Alex.
all
I
of
like
us.
that.
the
He's
Maroon
also
Guards.
real bullish on South Carolina too. Up there, yeah. I mean, basically that right column stays about the same.
He's
for
got
all of
Auburn
us.
pretty low too.
Auburn,
down
yeah,
at 13. Yeah.
Georgia over Texas, same way as the SEC title game this year.
I do think it is so funny, and I see no reason for this to not play out this way, but nobody is giving Oklahoma any respect.
No.
Nobody.
Yeah,
But should we?
They didn't prove anything
yeah.
otherwise.
Just like with Texas, we're like, until they prove me wrong, I'm
Right.
going to have them up there.
until
I think
Oklahoma proves us right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that's where they're going to be.
Which
Well,
obviously one of these teams is going to completely, shock us and
make us look like dummies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
we're
it
gonna-
could be Oklahoma. Maybe Oklahoma is a top 4 team next year.
the one thing that
But-
me and Alex have similarly, he has Vanderbilt at 11. I have Vanderbilt at 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
do we
little high
think
for
that
me.
Vanderbilt is going to have, because they bring back
Stowers
they bring
and,
back Stowers
Pavia.
and Pavia, which was a big portion of their offense.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah, that could a lot of it.
They're going to play spoiler to a team or two again next
Right.
year.
But yeah, part of me just wonders, was it a little bit of I don't want to say Cinderella, but it was a little bit of just a feel good.
Yeah.
Man, they're getting these upsets. Will
Yeah.
they be able to replicate it? I don't know.
And I think honestly, and I don't think this is like dogging on Vanderbilt as a program too much, but I think the question is, are those fun wins and cool stories going to be enough to make them 6-6, or are they going to have a pretty majestic 8-4 season?
Yeah,
Because I think just where the program is, that's kind of the ceiling, is going 8-4, and I recognize that A&M just finished an 8-4 season. I am not,
but that
immune to
wasn't their ceiling though.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So yeah, I think Vanderbilt in the middle of the road is a compliment.
Yeah,
Somewhere around the 8 to 12 range is I think that looks fine.
And we're all pretty confident that State and Arkansas are going to, except for Tyler.
Yeah, I had
gonna-
State high, and again, I probably shouldn't have done that just because of Van Buren. But so I put more
and-
stock into Blake Shapen.
And in all reality, those two teams are probably going to play spoiler to a couple too, and it very well could be a game that we go to Fayetteville and lose because we haven't played in Fayetteville since 2013. That is not an easy place
It'll
to
be
play.
an interesting game.
I'm hoping that's an 11 o'clock kick type of thing because Arkansas wants to beat us bad, and they are bringing Taylon Green back. I forget what their wide receiver lineup looks like. I know they brought back a pretty key wide receiver, but I think they also lost just a ton of players. Bobby Petrino has shown that he can call a legit, competent offense, but then the offense just fell flat. And part of that, you could maybe argue, was because of Taylon Green. So, how much is he actually going to progress throughout the offseason and be that scrambling / occasional downfield threat? I don't really see it happening.
Arkansas portaled hard, 30 outgoing transfers and 22 incoming transfers.
Yeah, and I don't really have faith that the people they replace the outgoing people with are going to be better. I just don't. Do I see an AJ Green there?
Yep.
How about that?
Yep. Coming
Time
from
is a flat circle.
Oklahoma
Yeah.
State. That's kind of like your periphery. Someone coming from Oklahoma State to Arkansas.
Yeah,
that's
you know
just
what? That's
your
why
friendship periphery.
Yeah, but the teams that I follow, one, because I actually like them, and two, the other one I hate follow. That would be Arkansas, Oklahoma State, the former. But yeah, I don't think Oklahoma State's going to do very well either. They even had a couple of their best players transfer to OU.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a long next couple years for the
When
Pokes.
Jaden Platt, the tight end from A&M, going to Arkansas as well.
And you know what? Like I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he could potentially be a bowling ball, but I also think there's probably a reason he did not see the field very much, and I think that's probably because he had a problem with blocking and catching the ball. Yep. I think it's pretty simple.
A&M's got some good tight ends right now, and
yes.
So I think it was too crowded of a room for Jaden Platt to break through that one.
You know, we're sitting here in January talking about football season, but I do, and I've said this before, I do have faith in another Colin Klein coached offense, especially with the pieces that we added on offense. And like I emphasized last week or 2 weeks ago or whatever, pretty much the entire offensive line is coming back. An offensive line that showed vast improvement from the year before. I think they will continue to do that, put on some more experience, some more size, whatever. I think that it's going to be a pretty stout offense next year. So with that in mind, I think we could go and actually surprise some of these teams like the at Texases and the at LSUs and stuff like that. Of course, I'm not guaranteeing a win at those places. At
you heard it here first. Yeah, do it.
Yeah. Nah,
do it now.
Like Jared Hawker? Right.
Yeah, we will beat Clemson.
Clemson,
it was
right.
Clemson when they were number one.
Hey, we covered the spread that game.
Yeah, what a memory.
The moral victories.
I think there's plenty to look forward to, but and maybe it's just because the past couple of weeks have had like defensive coordinator rumors, and we were maybe hoping to get a couple other dudes out of the portal that we just haven't. The offseason's not over yet, and I think there's still some improvement to be made, but I do have faith in a year two Elko defensive scheme and Colin Klein with some more weapons.
Random sidebar question for Tyler.
Yeah.
Favorite offensive line interview, because you mentioned the Jared Hawker. That was a memorable, because offensive linemen, man, they're hit or miss, more so than any other position group, because you could it's not like you can get into the real schematics of no one does that of offensive line play, and B, a lot of times they're just real salt of the earth kind of guys. So, do you have a favorite offensive line interview?
I mean, Jared Hawker probably that was probably the most memorable, just because of how bold he was in saying that. And then we followed up with Jimbo, and he goes, "Well, he better prove it." And and we never spoke to him again after that.
And the background of that, we won't get too much into the details, but the funniest part about it, the guy who asked the question was basically like a stringer.
Yeah.
For one of the local organizations here. So that was kind of wild, too.
SEC Media Days have also, or beyond Texas A&M, have always had great offensive lineman interviews. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember his name, but there's a guy from Missouri. It was the year that the news broke that Texas and Oklahoma were joining the SEC, and I asked him, what do you think about Texas, and joining the SEC? And he goes, well, I hear that, they don't like the horns down or whatever, he gave a great kind of segue into, they're going to have a rough coming. Obviously that didn't happen, but
here's why I bring this up. For me, the answer is, and this was before your time, far and away, Coda Martin. Because it was
he was a wild dude, for sure.
He had a lot to say all the time, and it was back in the era where we would, for spring and fall practice, we would actually go into the indoor facility and wait in there for practice to end, and we'd talk to Sumlin and a few players like right after practice. And I have never seen a human being sweat more than Coda. He would come in there and he would just be like, it's that Key and Peele meme where it's just like a waterfall rushing down.
If I would have kept going into college, I was the one who was always
drenched. I when I play sports, I sweat a lot, but this is like you could see the waterfalls rushing down his face. I mean, it was impressive. It was impressive work.
Coda's a good dude. I was thinking like Mike Matthews, maybe like one of the Matthews brothers. He's a lot less soft-spoken than like Jake Matthews.
Yeah, Jake's.
But that was the first person that came to mind was Mike Matthews, which that was a while ago.
Trey Zoom's been pretty good too.
Yeah, he's
pretty good, especially in
He also gave some good Texas bites because
quite
of
intelligent
his kind of family's history with that.
Sure. Well, let's do a hard segue here, and I'm going to throw something, Tyler, at you that we didn't talk about before, but I think it's fresh on the mind, so you can help us out because you were over there. We'll touch a little bit on A&M women's basketball.
Yeah.
Because there's what was the big breaking news out of that availability yesterday?
It's devastating for women's basketball. So Aisha Coulibaly, who's their leading scorer the past 2 years and by far their best player who makes it go, is out with a season-ending injury. It happened in Baton Rouge at LSU in a game that was actually kind of close against a top 5 team. And this is coming off of their highest ranked win of the Joni Taylor era against 11th ranked Kentucky. Aisha Coulibaly went off 21 points in that one. And then the very next game, gets hurt, knee injury, out for the season.
That's
so
awful,
a team that had a really rough start to the season and really not a lot of I figured was not a tournament team. But these past couple of weeks kind of piqued my interest. Hey, if they keep stealing some of these games and rolling a little bit, this might be a tournament team, and they might make some noise. And now this news comes out with Aisha Coulibaly. So that's tough. They do have a lot of underclassmen and freshmen that have stepped up in spurts that have kind of showed promise. So we'll see if they can get any consistency out of those people to step up in their place.
Yeah, where does this kind of leave them? Because I know it was a team that had some really pretty devastating losses early that you thought, I don't know what's good to make of this. And then as of late, it's kind of seemingly found their stride a little bit.
Right. Well, this is a big Thursday. They're at Arkansas. Arkansas is not good. They don't have a conference road. No, they don't have a true road win this year. So they're going to need to win on Thursday against Arkansas because you host Texas on Sunday. Texas is really good. So I think you need that Arkansas win. And, man, it's a rivalry game. If you could, if they rally around not having Aisha out there and somehow squeak, that Texas win, that would be huge for that program.
Yeah.
Max, vibe level on the men's basketball team coming off of
vibes are still neutral.
Yeah.
All right.
Listen, I was at a full Catholic mass ceremony on Saturday. I was an usher / greeter for that. Chris, congratulations. And I want to say by the time the ceremony had started, maybe 5 minutes of game time. By the end of the ceremony, there was about 1 to 3 minutes of game time left. I think at some point, somebody even during the ceremony checked the score and was like, "We're good." Well, turns out we were not in fact good. And on the way to the reception, maybe it's my fault now that I'm thinking about it. We watched a little bit of the last part of it, and obviously we lost. But then
you heard it here first. Max is the problem.
Yeah, but then we go out against OU last night and shoot 88% from the line.
83%.
Because if we can keep that up,
29 for 35.
If we can make that a trend, I feel actually really good about our chances. Here's the thing: I don't know / think that we are going to keep that up. So my vibes remain neutral.
83% is the highest this season. It's the highest since they did, I believe it was 88% against South Carolina last year. And I had forgotten about this. Against Vanderbilt last year, they had that 17 for 17 performance where they went 100% won the game.
And I will also say I am quite excited to get to the point to where we're talking about, and I mean we're doing this anyway, but to where we're talking about like the real stakes in a basketball season, baseball season starting up, and a little bit of spring football too. Like that's such a fun time. As much as y'all apparently hate spring football, it's cool that there are ongoing practices like everywhere around the Bright complex. Like that's just cool to me. Softball too. Like I have high hopes for our softball team. So like it's gonna be a fun spring, I think.
There's so much about this job that doesn't feel like work. Spring football feels like work. I don't know. That's the only way to put that.
Yeah,
like I am blessed to have this job. I am excited about doing it every morning when I wake up. Except for when I have to go cover spring football.
We're talking about practice, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wouldn't shock me if the players and even the coaches thought that as well.
Yeah,
like I'm sure the coaches
it's a
are
grind.
glad
they call it a grind.
Yeah.
For
well,
a
and
reason.
we're here in just a couple weeks, and we can address this on the podcast coming up soon. We're gonna hit that season, and especially for you and your gang on the broadcast side, that it's like there's like a Saturday where there's like 6 events going all day, and it's just a madhouse.
It's wild. February, March. These crossover seasons. Yeah, it gets crazy.
Yeah, because you would think football season is like the busiest, the most stressful.
Right, no.
But football season's not bad because it's regimented. You know, these are basically what I'm going to do every day. Maybe changes for an away game and not a home game, but you kind of have your routine. Right now, this time we're in is like the best because it's basically just basketball. That's what we're focused on. When it hits that spring, then you've got baseball, softball, basketball's wrapping up, spring football, golf, tennis, track. Like, it's just, and then you get into that, like, spring game parents weekend thing, spring soccer. Like,
That's true.
There is everything going on in the spring. And, I mean, I know everyone who's listening now is like, well, that's fine. I'll go watch all of those for a
Gives
job.
us more to talk about.
Yeah.
It is a hustle.
Yeah.
It is you gotta rent your VO scooter and ride it around campus.
Yeah.
So that you can hit all the stuff, which I have done mostly because I just wanted to ride a scooter.
Yeah.
You know.
I understand.
So, any other thoughts? Anything on your mind, Max?
No. It feels like it should be Friday, but it's Wednesday. So I don't like my brain power is just not at Wednesday levels right now. So no, I don't have any parting thoughts really.
Tyler, any final words?
Final word? Yeah, no. I mean,
Beat the hell out of whoever basketball has next. Which,
I get the neutral vibes. I think basketball's in a great spot. They showed their winning formula. They make their free throws and they rebound and they win because they're not going to shoot the ball that well like they did against Oklahoma, but they don't need to win, which they proved. So I think things are just A-OK right now in Aggie land for
I'll
them.
be interested to see how long Solomon Washington and Hayden Hefner are out. Both of them seem to have rolled their ankle. And
ice it, elevate it,
and
get back out there.
How quickly they'll be able to get back from that. But it was a good game for A&M. If they were going to have those two guys out for the roles they play on the team, it was a good game for A&M to have them out because Oklahoma does play pretty small.
Yeah.
So when they throw Jace Carter out there, Manny to some extent to play that solo role. They were playing 3-guard set versus 3-guard set, which helps a lot. But I think there's a lot of teams in the conference who A&M might be better than that. They might not have gotten away with that just because of size. So it'll be interesting to see how they can bounce back. The South Carolina team, every team in the SEC is pretty darn good.
Yeah.
But the South Carolina team is at the bottom of the barrel of some really good SEC teams. So it should be one that they might be able to rest these guys up and go ahead and come out with the win. But again, like, who knows in the SEC this year? It is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
So that's all the time we have today. Be sure to go to KBTX.com. Check all of the good stuff we have about everything that's going around in Aggieland. Check these guys out on the broadcasts. And if you have any problems with any of the way too early SEC power rankings, you can email those complaints to alex.egan@kbtx.com.
Do that.
And he'll be sure to take care of all of those for you. So for Tyler Shaw and Max Crawford, I'm Travis Brown. This is the Aggie Game Day Extra podcast. We'll see you next week.